So these are all the ways you can find factorization questions on the CSEC paper. So let's go. So you're asked to factorize each one of these completely. So you can probably pause and work out all 4 of these here. And if you can work out all 4 of these, then come CSEC, all of the factorization marks will be yours. So the first one says we have 5x squared y plus 20x, and you ask to factorize this. So we have 2 terms here, and the terms are adding. And this is a very easy one to factorize. As long as you see 2 terms that they're adding, you just factorize, you just do the distributive law in reverse. So you look at both terms, we see what is the highest common factor between the 2 terms. First, you look at the numbers, we have 20 and 5. And the highest common factor between 20 and 5 would be 5, of course. And then you look at the variables, so we have x squared, and we have x. And we see what is the highest common factor. So the highest common factor would be this x, so we factor out that x. And we factor out 5x from here, we will be left with, the 5 will go, and one of the x will go, so we're left with x, y. And when you factor out 5x from here, we're left with, so the x will go, and 20 divided by 5 will give us 4, so we're left with 4. And that is your answer. So if you want to check to see if your answer is correct, you just do the distributive law, and you should get back what is at the top here. So 5x times xy will give you 5x squared y. 5x times 4 would give us 20x. And the second one, we have 4y squared minus 25, and you're asked to factorize that. So once again, we see we have 2 terms, but the difference between these 2 terms is that it's subtracting this time, and these 2 terms are special terms because they are both square terms, meaning you can multiply something by itself to give you 25, and the same thing goes for 4y squared. So as long as it's like that, you factorize as the difference of 2 squares, because 2 squares are subtracting, hence the difference of 2 squares. So how do we do this? Nice and easy. One mark here, so you open 2 brackets, and you look at the first term. You ask yourself, what can you multiply by itself to give you 4y squared? So we know we can multiply 2 by itself to give you 4, and y by itself to give you y squared. So 2y times 2y will give us 4y squared. So we put that 2y in one of the brackets, and we put that 2y in the other bracket. And we do the same thing for 25. We know 5 times 5 will give us 25. So we put the 5 here, and we put the 5 here. And in one bracket you add, and the other bracket you subtract. Nice and easy. And the third one, now we have 2x squared plus 5x minus 7. And you're asked to factorize this. So from the time you have 3 terms, and you're asked to factorize, your mind should be thinking about a quadratic. But of course, it has to be in the quadratic form. And the general form for a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. This should be plus or minus c. So c would be the number by itself, a would be the number in front of x squared, b would be the number in front of x. So we are asked to factorize this, so we have to use the AC method. So the AC method dictates that we multiply a by c. But first, before we multiply a by c, let's identify a, b, and c. So we know a would be the number in front of x squared, which is 2. So a would be equal to 2. B would be equal to the number in front of x, which is 5. And c would be equal to the number by itself, which is a negative 7. So you multiply a by c. A by c would be 2 times negative 7, which would give us negative 14. And now the key here, we want 2 numbers. When we multiply it, we should get negative 14. And when we add, we should get b. So we ask ourselves, what can we multiply by itself to give you that? So we know we can use the same 2 and 7. So let's do negative 7 times 2 will of course give you negative 14. And negative 7 plus 2 would give us negative 5. So that doesn't work. So let's try negative 2 times a positive 7 would give us negative 14. And negative 2 plus 7 would give us a positive 5. So hence, this is what we use. So we got to be careful with our signs. And also, we make sure you have a calculator so that you'll be able to work these just in case you're not so strong with direct numbers. So we're substituting that into the equation. We're replacing the bx term, or the term with the variable. And that is not raised to any power. We're replacing that with negative 2 plus 7. Of course, you are attaching the variable that is here to this here. So now we'll have 2x squared minus 2x plus 7x minus 7. And you see, if we work out this, we'll end up with what is at the top here. So the aim is we want to find two suitable terms. So we pair off and we factorize each bracket, just like what we did at the top here. So in this bracket, we see 2x is common in both, so we factor out the 2x. When we factor out 2x from here, we're left with x. We factor out 2x from negative 2x, we're left with negative 1. So you can do the distributive law to see if your answer is correct, and you should get back what is at the top. And we go to the second bracket, we factor out the sign for us, which is plus. And then we see 7 is common in both brackets, so we factor out the 7. We factor out the 7 from the first term, we're left with x. Factor out the 7 from the second term, negative 7 divided by 7 will give us a negative 1. So we see the two brackets are the same. As long as those two are the same, we are good to go. So we put what is outside the two brackets in a separate bracket. So we'll have 2x plus 7, and then we bring down one of these brackets, and both of them are the same. And we have x minus 1. If you want to check to see if your answer is correct, you multiply these two, and you should get back the original expression. And the last way, we have 12xy minus 28x minus 15y plus 35. And you see we have 4 terms. So from the time you start off with 4 terms, remember here we work towards getting 4 terms, and then we pair off and then we work. So we do the same thing here. We pair off and then we factorize each bracket. So we see the first bracket, we look at the numbers first. What is the highest common number? So we see 12 and 28. So we see 4 is the highest common number. And then we look at the variables, x, y, and x. So we see x is common in both. So you factor out 4x from here, you'll be left with, so the 12 divided by 4 will give us 3. And the 2 x's will go, so we're left with 3y. And the same thing, we factor out 4x from here, the negative will remain. 28 divided by 4 will give us 7. And the 2 x's will go, so we're left with 7. And then we look at this bracket now, we see what is the highest common factors. First thing you want to do is factor out the sign. Whatever sign is there, that is the sign you're factoring out. And then we have 15y and 35. So we look at the numbers first of all. So we see 15 and 35. Obviously, 5 is the highest common factor. And we don't have any variable in common. So we factor out the 5 from the first term. We're left with 15 divided by 5. That would give us, so basically you have negative 15y divided by negative 5. So the two negatives will go. 5 divided by 15 will give us 3. So we have 3y. And the same thing for 35. So 35 divided by negative 5. Negative divided by a positive will give us a negative. 35 divided by 5 would give us 7. So we see our two brackets are the same. They are identical. So that means we are going correct. So we take what is outside and we put those two in a bracket. So we'll have 4x minus 5 in one bracket, and we bring down the other bracket, which is 3y minus 7. And that is how you get your full marks for that question. And these are all the different ways in which a factorization can come in CSEC. So make sure you master these so that you can master any factorization in CSEC. Best of luck in your preparation, and look out for the other video that is coming up.